So, and there is always a comparison. Should I go with the bachelor's or higher sector, or should I go with the better? How you see this thing? Because everyone has their own perspective. There is no right or there is no wrong answer to this question. But how you see this comparison?
There are so many different paths for every person. And where you start doesn't mean you have to end up there as well. So if you start out with a bachelor's and if you don't finish it, there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong if you move on to something else because it's of more interest to you, or you're going to get a quicker career out of it, or it's a pathway for you. There's no shame in that, and I think it should be applauded actually if you're making that choice to switch and to pivot into something else.
Because I think life overseas, life in Australia is very different. Australia's life is more practically.
In Australia, the way we perceive trades is very different. So if you're a mechanic, that is a sense of, you can certainly have a sense of pride of that in Australia.
Welcome, Anne, to our podcast. We welcome you to our podcast and thank you so much for giving us your wonderful time. So now it's the time to speak about yourself. When I say the about yourself, because you're here, a lot of people come to us. They're mostly immigrants, right? Who come here to study. But your journey today would be very different from the normal podcast or the normal guest we speak, right?
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure this would be very inspiring for those who think people who born here or who come here very early age, life is very easy for them. So let's tell them how the things will be and how the things were for you and how challenging or how easy for you to manage the things. Now, so Annie, tell me, were you born in Australia?
I was born in Adelaide.
You were born in Adelaide, right? Okay, so how your life been as compared to, because you might have that a lot of friends who are immigrants, right? Who came from overseas. So how you see your life as compared to them?
Gosh, I don't see much difference these days. I've had friends who are immigrants since primary school. So I'm turning 50 this year, so it's a long time ago. And I've always had friends and grown up with people who are immigrants. And I'm privileged to work in a very multicultural sector, in a multicultural society as Sydney is. I choose to live in Rockdale, which is very multicultural. You have people from all over. And I think I am lucky. I mean, I am lucky because I was born here and because I was given certain opportunities. But I think now immigrants have as many opportunities as they want. So if they want to work hard and dedicate themselves, they do well. And that's proven every day by our students.
Yes. You feel it's a kind of similar to your story as well and the immigrants because you've been to that environment and you had friends from the school. Now you deal with you mentioned students. Can you tell me what kind of job you do? So what kind of industry you are in?
Me personally?
Yeah.
So I'm the CEO at Trinity Institute Australia. I've lived and worked all around Australia, and I've worked in this industry of vocational education for 25 years. So I've been, as I said, very, very lucky to work with a lot of dedicated people throughout Australia who want to better their lives and who want to do well and achieve well. And I see that every day, especially in our students. They come here making a really hard decision. I can't imagine leaving my home and my family to come all this way to Australia with the idea that they might get an opportunity. And after making this hard decision and paying the money and leaving their friends and family to then work and dedicate themselves to achieving a better life. I have a lot of respect for that. And our students do well. They work in all sorts of great trade industries particularly.
So having 25 years of experience and you've been to so many institutes, you're in this industry from a very long time. And this industry is one of the biggest industry and the only industry where you will see the immigrants or the migrants every single day and from the different backgrounds with the different vision, different choices, right? As you mentioned, even the international. Now, you mentioned that you live with them, you have seen their life, from the very beginning, how they start and when they complete their course and all these things. The one question here comes up, you've been to so many places, you've been to with so many students. Have you ever seen a comparison between overseas studies or in Australia?
Oh, interesting. I mean, there are different experiences that an international student will have to an Australian student. But I think, especially at Trinity Institute, we try and make sure that our international students have a great experience. It's not just about the coursework at Trinity. When you become a Trinity student, you become part of our family.
Sure.
So we really try and make sure all aspects are covered, their well-being, the support services, any issues that come up. Our students know that they can come to us and that we can help them because we do form that relationship with the student. We're really very supportive of our students achieving what they want to achieve.
But have you seen any kind of a difference? I'm not sure have you been to overseas or not, but from the your experience with the students, have you seen any difference with the vet sector in Australia and vet sector overseas?
One thing that my students tell me is very different is that we don't have exams.
Correct.
So a lot of the students tell me that they're prepared for school and prepared for their education by learning, and getting ready for exams. So that's the biggest difference, I think, is that especially being a vocational institute, we focus on the skills. So it's very hands-on. If they want to come and learn how to be a car mechanic, only half of that is the knowledge and the theory behind it. The rest is all practical, hands-on. So it's fantastic for students who really are, one, passionate about what they want to learn, but two, really want to get involved and want to learn a skill, a trade that's going to carry them through their careers. So I think that's probably the biggest difference is it's really focused on the hands-on, the practical, the workplace application of their skills.
So the practical component of this courses is one of the main differences that makes Australia, the Trinity Institute, different from the overseas market, right? So now, a lot of students come to you. You might have 1,000, 100 of students every year who pass on. So what's your one thing you have learned from them?
Oh my goodness. It's difficult to see the struggles. So many students, I think I've only increased the amount of respect that I have for international students because it's not just about doing the coursework, right? We know that that's only a small part of their experience when they're here in Australia. It's about making sure they've got somewhere to live that they like, you know, their friends and create a community around them, that they've got support, that they've got jobs, that they've got a way of making money. And to have to handle all of that and juggle everything and still do well at school, my utmost respect.
So one thing I learned from them is the management, how they manage the study, how to manage the workload, and how they manage their emotions, because living separately from the family, I think that's one of the things every international student or any international migrants feel when they come initially here, because they get separated from their families, you know, so the back end and the emotion support is not there. So I'm pretty sure you deal with these things with them daily. So how you cope up with that situation when a lot of students come to you and say, or with your staff and team member that living separately from family is causing us mental stress and all these things. Do you get those kind of cases?
Oh, definitely. We have a wonderful support team at Trinity. So every course has got a dedicated person to help the students through whatever's happening in their lives. It's not just about the academics. So, we do get students who come to us and say, look, I'm not coping because I was so far away from my family. And so things that can work in that situation is putting them in contact with other people who feel the same way here in Sydney, who they can talk with and form their own community with. That's just one thing they can do. There's counselling. There are certain support groups. There's all different ways in which we can help them. And I remember one of my friends who works at Trinity, he was telling me that when he first came to Australia, one of the things he found most difficult was catching the bus.
Correct.
So there's all these tiny little things that you don't even really think about.
Of course.
Yes. And so we make sure that we cover all of that information to make it a little bit easier for their transition.
Now, of course, this is, I think, a good example. The reason the bus thing, in India, we don't need to worry about the bus. If a bus is there, you can go, can you stop? And we can jump on, right? Here, the things work in different way because they have the timely things in, especially the time. If it's 10:30, it means it's 10:30 here,
Yes,
right?
yes.
In our country, it could be 10:40 or 10:45. So we're very lax. But now we have learned how to be on the time,
Mhm.
how to be punctual with everything, because the things work very differently in Australia.
Yes.
And everything is online on the app. You can see which bus is going from which time, from which station, and all these things.
It's true.
We miss
yes.
those things overseas.
Mm.
So, and we have spoken about the struggle that students have seen. So, what were your struggles?
Me.
Yes, you've been here in this industry long, and before that, you might have the different vision. So, you want to say any struggle that that you still remember that
Mm.
the reason why I'm asking this question, because most of us, including me, we think people who are born here, they don't have struggles. They're free of mind.
Ah.
Would you like to say shed some light on that part?
Of course, of course. I think for me, as I said, I was born in Adelaide. My family, we all moved to Brisbane when I was young.
Yeah.
And then, of course, now I live in Sydney. So having moved around a little bit. And when I was at school, and similar to all of our students, I think your parents have got a lot of influence about what you're supposed to do after school.
Correct.
And I went to the university and I studied nursing. It was the worst decision. It was terrible. I failed everything. I hated being away from home. I was in Rockhampton.
Yeah.
And I felt really isolated and I wasn't coping with anything. And it's only taken me in the last 10 years or so to realise that it wasn't just me, that a lot of people do the same thing. A lot of people start out thinking they want to study one thing and then they get a job or they study something else and their life takes them in a completely different path.
Correct.
I would have been a terrible nurse. I would have really hated it and I wouldn't have been very good at my job. I could have stuck with it, but I decided to do something else and get into education. And I think every experience that we have gives us a little more insight into what we're good at and to what we enjoy. And they don't have to be the same thing either. So I'm very fortunate that I do something that I enjoy and I'm fortunate to be good at it as well. But it's taken a long time to get here.
Of course. So, and what was the reason for you to study nursing, which you don't like?
I was not a good student and that was my only option at that stage.
So who chose that you have to study nursing, you or your family?
Well, the family had an influence in that. So this is a long time ago, remember?
Yeah,
so you had to pick 6 courses that you wanted to do.
Okay.
And I think I put nursing because I thought you didn't have to do very well at school to get into nursing back
Correct.
then.
Understood.
And I thought, well, at least I'll be studying something.
It's easy, yeah.
It's
okay.
easy, yeah. And I thought, I'd like living away from home. I'll do that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it really didn't put the thought into it that I should have about, what actually are my strengths? What are the goals I want to achieve? And looking back, it should have been education right from the start for me.
I think it happens with most of people, right? Once you're in an age, you're unable to decide what actually you want to do. When you start doing that thing, when you're about to complete that thing, then you actually realize what you actually wanted to do.
It's like a light bulb.
Of course, then you say, okay, what I could have done this thing before. See, I always say, you can't change the past.
No.
Let's think about the present. So in the future, this present will become your past. So you don't make those mistakes, right? I think now, your reason was choosing the nursing was different. Now, most of people has a different reason. One of them is to get the permanent residency. Now, you're citizen here.
Yep.
So do you push them or pressurize them to go to one sector, or they make their own decisions?
It's interesting at Australian schools. It's starting to change a little, I think, but generally they're pushed to do university. Most children are pushed to do university still.
Yep.
There are big advocates like me who promote a vocational pathway for students, and that voice is getting bigger and it's getting more influence at schools. But if I talk to my 2 children, one wants to be a vet and the other one wants to be an astronaut. So they're going to have to both do higher education, I think.
So they're making their own decisions, right?
Yes.
Because the reason why I'm saying again, this trend is changing now. Back in the times, our family used to decide what we're gonna do. Because my father asked my uncle that there are 2 options. They didn't ask me what I want to do. Or they asked me, there are two options. Then they decide that he will do the Bachelor's of Technology.
Okay.
Just like some popular courses.
Yes.
But again, as you mentioned, you've been to nursing because of it was easy. I've been to something because that how was the trend in India at that moment. But now the things are changing a lot. Now students come here after doing their schooling from overseas. They make their own decisions. Sometimes they come to a course, but later on they change because then later on they realize that might not be a good course for them, or maybe they are getting a job. So, and we have spoken about the struggle of the students. We have spoken about your struggle. So what was the struggle that Trinity is having? Because running a big institute is it's not an easy job. It seems to be easy. It seems to be beautiful. It seems to be good money-making business from the outside world. So let's talk about the inside world. What's going on inside that people don't see?
Gosh, we've grown and we keep growing. So Trinity turns 10 this year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I actually have my 5-year anniversary with Trinity next month as well. So it seems to me that Trinity really has gone from strength to strength. When I joined 5 years ago, we had maybe 3 or 4 courses on scope. We just started doing carpentry and automotive then, and business and IT.
Yep.
Yeah. And since then, we have taken a long time to think of the strategic steps to get where we want to get, to be a fantastic, big, quality-driven institute that students can praise and our graduates can praise. And we're getting there. We're getting there. I think the struggle really has been what to do next. So as we're making these decisions to which area to go into, so to make the decision to go into community services or into hospitality, there are so many different courses out there we could choose. It's hard to narrow it down to the right course at the right time. That's probably our biggest struggle to date. We've been very, very lucky. We have a strong team.
Yep.
We don't have a lot of staff turnover. Same with you, I believe.
Yeah.
We just have gone from strength to strength. There's a couple of nice big announcements I'll make for you later in our conversation, but at the moment I can't think of the struggles. It's really about the incremental steps to greatness.
So becoming a CEO, it's amazing. Having the responsibilities as a CEO is something that we don't realize. You want to say something that your day-to-day jobs, duties or something, anywhere you face, do you remember any kind of that part?
A couple of things. So in 2023, when we had all of the government changes. Late last year, when we had all of the debate about what was going to happen in the
capping
sector,
system, right?
Capping and everything. It wasn't a struggle for us as Trinity. It was just the whole sector.
The whole sector.
What's going to happen next? It was a really big time of discord and lack of direction. It's good to see now that things have settled down a lot. We're still waiting to see what the next couple of years bring. But I think at the moment, things are kind of settled at the moment, which is really nice, really very good. But I think me as a CEO, the hardest things come to balancing. So you've got to balance all the compliance and all the quality requirements and all of the legislation that we must adhere to to get our registration. With the business. That's, in any business, that's the hard balance. It's the really hard balance. And I think one thing that we do well is kind of make the compliance requirements kind of seem to fall away. So the students don't have to worry because we're taking care of it. The staff don't have to worry because we're making sure the systems work. So but as the CEO, I've got to make sure that the compliance requirements are being met at all times, of course. So that's probably a struggle as a CEO, that balancing that all the time.
You mentioned the balance between the compliance and the rest of things, but you forgot to mention that there is another balance you have to make in a personal life, which is a family. Right? I think having at this position, we see you have 2 lives. One is professional, one is personal. Have you ever been faced any kind of conflict or any issues when it comes to the balance between 2 lives?
It's really difficult. And as I said, I've got 2 young children who are both in primary school. And it's difficult to be a boss and to be an active CEO who wants to be part of the business and, getting home after they've gone to bed. That's really difficult. It's really difficult. It's a struggle. And I think there are a lot of people, a lot of parents, not just mothers, but parents who struggle with that. It's difficult, but I make sure that the time I do have with them is worthwhile.
I think with the time, I think you start learning everything. Some people become parents at 30, some become at 40. They said they have a lot of experience. Once become parent, your experience starts again. The balancing between the personal life and balancing between the other things. So now you have seen both the experiences you had, like you in this industry from the last 25 years. Now being a parent, you have that experience as well. You've been to that situation as well. So what you would like to say those who are in a similar position as yours or almost similar, and they have the family there, what mistakes that you have done so that they can avoid, or what are your suggestions from your end that they can take over so that they don't face those issues?
I don't know if I'm an expert. I think I do try very hard to have really good times with my children in the morning. So if, work starts at 9:30, I make sure that, we're all up early. We spend some really good time together then. I think it's important to spend good time together at some stage every day where you can. So that's one thing that we do. And we also make sure that we're setting up really good special memories on the weekends wherever we can as well. That's probably my biggest tip.
I think, that's having a memory, sometimes we just ignore that part, because we are so busy with the life. But having a memories that can't be faded away with the time because you have those memories captured, right? See, a lot of people will listen this podcast, right? They're at some stage of their life, and one stage they will be the CEO or they will be the director of big organization. And at one point, they will be having both as a director as well as the family member. I think they can take this thing from you as making a memories with their family whenever you get the time, morning, evening, over the weekend. I think spending a time with your family gives you some kind of boost with their professional life as well.
Definitely.
Right? We miss those things when we say, oh, I work 8 hours per day or I work 12 hours per day. I think those are not important. Having a balance and the right balance is very, very important. How I do my life is around 7 days we work because we don't have any fixed time, right? But I'll try to make sure that I go to gym because I like to do
That's
it.
important.
I make sure that I spend time with my family. We discuss, we have a dinner together because we make the memories as well as that give you some kind of a relaxation so that when you relax, your mind is fresh, you're active, you have more energy to think about at the work, and that one decision can change the whole thing. Now, as a CEO, you mentioned you have to decide the challenge that I see, which course we have to choose. When you have to choose 5 courses, but there are 10 options, which 5 we have to choose. That takes one business to another level. You have taken those decisions at the right time. That's why you're in this situation. A lot of institutes come to us and they say they want to do this course and they are doing these courses. Choosing a right course, choosing a family, making a right decision. I would say these are some of the biggest things that people miss these days, right? Now, and from your experience, that what I have realized, the life is not the same, or life is not. We can't compare people's life who are migrants or who are born here because everyone has their own struggles. They have their own struggles. People born here, they have their own struggles, right? The overall, I want to say everyone has their own struggles. We can't compare that their life is easy. No one's life is easy. It might be just time might be hard for you at some specific period of time, and time could be good for you. Now, you mentioned you focus more on the vet sector. Is this the reason because there are more skilled workers in the vet sector?
There's a few reasons. So one of the reasons that I personally work in the vet sector is because I love trades. I've worked with mechanics and with carpenters for all my professional career, right? That's one reason. Another reason is that Australia is crying out for skilled tradespeople.
Especially the construction, right? House.
Oh, in construction, in so many different industries. And I think it's really important that we make sure that, for me, I get satisfaction from knowing that we are turning out graduates who have the skills that Australia needs. I think that's really important, and it's really worthwhile to make sure that that's one of the biggest reasons that we like to focus on the vet qualifications.
So, and there is always a comparison. Should I go with the bachelor's or higher sector, or should I go with the vet? How you see this thing? Because everyone has their own perspective. There is no right or there is no wrong answer to this question. But how you see this comparison?
I think there are so many different paths for every person. And where you start doesn't mean you have to end up there as well. So if you start out with a bachelor's and if you don't finish it, there's no shame in that. There's nothing wrong if you move on to something else because it's of more interest to you, or you're going to get a quicker career out of it, or it's a pathway for you. There's no shame in that, and I think it should be applauded actually if you're making that choice to switch and to pivot into something else.
You mean to say that if someone wants to do a vet sector because they feel they get more skilled there or they have the relevant job, they should be doing that. They should not be feel ashamed that I will be leaving a bachelor's degree.
Definitely.
Because I think when it comes to this decision, sometimes they start thinking emotionally instead of practically. People say, okay, family say, why are you going to leave this thing? What's the benefit? Because I think life overseas, life in Australia is very different. Australia's life is more practical. You mentioned that you used to study nursing. Back in India, people don't respect nurses as much as they respect here.
Okay.
Because, they are getting more money. They have that kind of respect. Back in India, it's completely different. Yes. They don't respect, if you say this person is a nurse, they don't see it in a respected way, right?
Okay.
But this is a sad reality of India or overseas, right? Same goes with the vet sector. Now, a lot of people are going with the vet sector now because they're getting, with the social media, there are a lot of information there, right? That's impacting their decision-making power. Now they're loving the vet sector. They are more practical. Even students who are doing a master's in IT, they say, we thought the PR is in a construction industry, we should go with that one. Or the career is good in that one, right? I think this prospect of thinking from bachelor's to vet sector, or from higher to vet sector is changing. I think this is the future. This is the future. And 10 minutes before you mentioned, there is a good news. Would you like to say or announce that good news so that people who wants to study a vet sector, they could have some helpful hand or they have some good news for them?
Wonderful. Firstly, I'd like to say that in Australia, the way we perceive the trades is very different. So if you're a mechanic, that is a sense of, you can certainly have a sense of pride of that in Australia. You earn good money, you earn respect from the society as a whole. Same with carpenters, same with painters. All of those areas, and from what I understand overseas, very different levels of perception about their importance. So if you do a trade here, it's certainly not seen as lesser. It's something to be celebrated and valued. Yeah. But we're very happy today. This is the perfect time for this podcast. Today we were approved for 4 new qualifications.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. We're very pleased. It's taken some time to pick the right ones. And we're really hoping that your students will be interested in these as well as much as we are.
Of course. Would you like to name them?
Oh, yes, please. So we have the Diploma of Automotive Technology, which is a fantastic step from those students who are doing the Certificate 3 in mechanical or electrical. They often move on to do the Cert 4. And then if they've done the Cert 4, they can now move to the diploma as well. So that's a really wonderful one. We're also doing the Diploma of Building and Construction in Building. So that's a lovely pathway for anyone else who wants to work in any of the trade areas, can work their pathway up to the Diploma of Building and Construction. Then we've got 2 new trade courses as well. We have the Certificate 3 in Painting and Decorating and the Certificate 3 in Wall and Floor Tiling. Yes. And both of those are fantastic for us, and they're going to fit in really, really well with the qualifications that we already offer.
Now, that's good to know, Anne, because the wall and floor tiling, not many students provide this course, right? But this is good to see that you're providing. I think hopefully there are a lot of students who have now this hope that which institute to choose from. Now they have the option. I think this is good to say. And you mentioned the Diploma of Building and Construction, which can be combined with the Certificate 3 in Carpentry, which can be combined with the painting, which can be combined with the wall and floor tiling, which means they can be eligible for the 485 visa. and from there they can get the permanent residency. Because a lot of students, they say they don't want to apply 485, they want to study the same course ahead, but they don't have then options after certificate 4. Now this is a good news for them. After certificate 4, they have the diploma of building and construction. They have the diploma of automotive, right? Thank you so much, Anne, for announcing this wonderful news on our podcast. I think students who wants to study this course, they can contact your institute or they can contact any of the your associated agents, so for the admission part as well. But again, thank you so much for your time and sharing your wonderful life insights, life as a CEO, right? And the rest of things. I'm pretty sure there are more good news coming on the way, but that will be covered in the future podcast, right? Again, thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Really love talking to you, and for any of your students who'd like to come to Trinity Institute Australia.
Guys, if you go to the institute and if you see Anne, just say hi. She will understand. Thank you so much, Anne.
Thank you.